What is despair? This is exactly what the hero experienced when he entered the Murim world. Only after 140 years of battles, he could become the invincible strongest warrior in Murim, and finally get to his homeworld, his home on Earth. There he can gain even more power, and take revenge on the god, who sent him to the alien world and made him suffer. I tried to create this video, so if you like it, you have to like and subscribe to the channel. The boy whispered to himself. He was sure he was about to meet his end. He held up his wounded hand and assumed he was going to hell. Suddenly the hero saw a notice that said he must see the end of the world. After he read the text, the hero collapsed and lost consciousness. The boy had a dream from his life, where during a trip a truck crashed into the car he was in with his sister. After death, the hero woke up in a strange place that resembled a cave in structure. The guy got the technique of celestial harmony of pure art. The hero was studying a book, and his only clue to returning to his home world was the inscription, namely, that he needed to behold the end of this world. The hero woke up, and the system congratulated him on his training. He cried emotionally, as he thought he would be able to return to his home world. But after leaving the cave, the hero realized that the place he was in was not his world. The boy fell to the ground in agony, began to cry and curse the world. All the 10 years he had been in this world had been for the hope that he could return home. The hero was approached by a hostile man who spotted the boy's outfit. He was armed and intended to kill the guy and later eat him. The hero ended up killing the man, and he was overcome with guilt for taking the man's life. The system interrupted the guy's misery and notified him of the upgrade. Now the hero was laughing hysterically. At that very moment, the hero came to the realization that in order to return to his homeworld, he needed to reach the maximum level. In the present tense, the hero became incredibly strong. He defeated the immortal Sword Emperor and was ready to kill him. But before he did so, he asked what the main one was. He was the 8th. The hero started counting. He killed 6 leaders of the demonic sect. Also for the hero, these people were strange, as every 10 years he met them. The guy cut off the head of the sect. The guy went to attack the hero, but the hero was able to easily dodge the blow. He took him by the head and used some incredible strength, then ordered him to get stronger and fight again. The hero left the scene of his massacre. Resting in the evening, the hero pondered how he could have fun in this life, since this time the head of the demonic sect turned out to be nothing. He even contemplated starting his own sect. Looking at the moon, the hero recalled that it had been 140 years since he had been in this world. Now his memories were clouded. He couldn't even remember the faces of his relatives. The hero's sad thoughts were interrupted by the system, which notified him that both the outer and inner levels had reached the maximum level, and the hero would be sent to the ground. This made the hero laugh, as he had already given up, and now it turns out that he had achieved what he had been doing so ardently. The hero was angry because he thought the gods had made fun of him, but he still used an ability that could move him to the ground. His power was comparable to a god, but in order to become a god, he would have to give up all of his feelings. He was able to take revenge on the entity that brought him into the world. The hero began to swear that he would kill the entity and emit a huge amount of energy. On Earth in 2011, a goddess warned that horror was coming. She said that mankind must become stronger to survive this horror. The year 2025, Korea Red Wolf Dungeon. The archer drew her bow to pierce the monster with her arrow. At the same time, the warrior fought and cut them down with his sword. The girl was the leader of the group, and they intended to retreat. The subordinate praised her, but suddenly a wolf appeared behind his back and chewed his shoulder. The hunters were losing their lives on the battlefield, and the leader, who had led them into battle, could only watch as her men perished. The girl pondered the fact that there were a huge number of monsters, and her mother was almost finished. She knew that at this rate, and she would say goodbye to his life. One of the warriors decided to flee, which didn't please the leader very much. She would have gladly scolded him, but the monsters wouldn't let her. The boy ran as fast as he could and thought it was a mistake to join the group of weaklings. The guy could already see his way out of the dungeon, but he was stopped by the girl's arrow. She was incredibly angry. The guy started making excuses and expressing his surprise that the girl had survived. The leader grabbed him by the scruff of the neck and started yelling as she warned him that the battlefield was dangerous. The guy fought the girl's arm off and yelled that he wasn't going to sacrifice his life. The girl began to taunt and call him trash, also advised him to go to his daddy, and threatened that after this incident the reputation of Don would suffer and his father would be furious. After such threats, the boy could not stand it and used the skill of a fighter, a destroyer of rocks, and attacked the leader. Such an attack threw the girl into a tree and seriously injured her. He grabbed her by the hair and began talking about how he would tell the situation to the public, specifically blaming the leader for the group's death. He was about to deliver the fatal blow, but lightning struck behind him, and in fact the hero, who appeared in the dungeon. The hero began to laugh as he was finally on Earth, but again promised to kill the one who had transported him to the other world. The guy turned to the hero and called him crazy, since he started talking to himself. He kept talking, but the hero just ignored him and walked straight to the girl. He noticed that she was near death. The guy, however, was determined to kill the hero, because he had seen how things really happened. The hero, however, was very surprised by the necklace around the girl's neck. The enemy had already gotten behind her and tried to strike. The hero only had to release his aura in order to stop the guy's attack. Seeing that kind of power, the guy was terrified. The hero was furious and ordered the guy to tell his name. Also, the hero introduced himself as the Immortal Sword Emperor, Cha Shinhyun. The hero was instantly near his opponent, and putting his finger to the guy's forehead released some of his power, which not only destroyed the enemy, but a huge area as well. The hero turned to the girl and said that he, that is, the older brother, was back. In the past, the girl cried as she did not want to go. The parents threatened to leave the girl and told her to go to the car. The hero went up to the little girl and asked her to go because if she stayed at the amusement park, her parents would be in trouble. The girl was crying because if they left, she wouldn't be able to see her brother for a long time. The boy encouraged the girl and promised to come as often as possible. He took her in his arms, and they headed for the car. After the accident, the girl blamed herself, because if she hadn't held up her family, they wouldn't have had the accident. The parents died, and the brother disappeared. The hero healed the girl and she woke up. The hero warned the girl not to move too much, because the wound he healed was deep. The leader asked who the hero was, and he hoped the girl would recognize him. The hero expressed his surprise at how his little sister had grown, and she felt that the hero reminded her of her brother. The girl began to cry, holding on to the pendant she had been given. The brother and sister embraced, but suddenly the girl pushed the hero away and started screaming about the enemy who had wounded her. The hero pointed to the boy's corpse. The girl was very surprised and seemed upset that the hero had killed the guy. She grabbed the hero by the arm, and they ran away from the dungeon. The hero expressed his surprise that the house hadn't changed, even though a lot of time had passed. The girl said that the director of the Dawn Guild, also the father of the guy the hero killed, would be arriving soon. Dawn was the local mafia, and the director himself was one of the 11 high-ranking fencers. The girl assumed that he had already been informed of his son's death, and since she was the only survivor of the raid, they would definitely come. The hero didn't understand what all the excitement was about, as he assumed he could easily get rid of them all. The girl said that it is not so easy, since the level of the enemy is above 50. Also, the girl was angry at the words about some immortal sword emperor. The girl didn't know what to do. Also, she complained about how hard it was for her. The hero went up to the picture and asked in a sad voice if her parents had died. The hero decided to tell his sister everything that had happened to him. After telling her briefly, the girl left, as it was very hard to comprehend. She also decided to head for the sunrise. The hero decided to stay and wait for his sister. The hero began to think about the situation in which he found himself. But suddenly the Dawn Gang burst into the house. The girl reached the Dawn Guild. She pondered what she should do. The girl was approached by the deputy director of the Dawn Guild and asked what she was doing here. The deputy director was one of the 4 strongest hunters. The girl thought about asking the deputy director for help. At the same time, the hero began to be rude to the director because he didn't like the fact that his house was broken into. The principal asked where the girl was, and the guy said it was him, after which the principal was furious. The hero got ready to fight. The principal was also ready to attack. Their attacks were about to collide. At the same time, the sister told her husband about her brother, and they headed home. The adversary struck a blow that the hero easily dodged. He assessed the strength the enemy used and realized that its source was different than in the Murine world. This amused the hero. He was determined to study this mysterious power. The adversary used a warrior skill and struck an incredibly strong blow. The hero had enough of what he saw, but the enemy was shocked, as the guy easily blocked the attacks with his bare hands. In the end, the enemy's sword could not even scratch the hand of the hero, who was very glad to hear that there were as many as 10 more opponents of the same strength in Korea. The subordinates, who saw the situation, headed to attack the hero. The guy didn't see them as opponents, more like flies stirring the floor. One of the enemies used a fireball. Everyone rejoiced, but the director knew that this was not the end. The hero was right in front of the guild man and expressed his surprise, as they exceeded his expectations. He broke the attacker's sword with his bare hands, causing him to be terrified. The hero frightened his enemies. He contemplated how the humans had managed to overtake Murim, who had been perfecting his techniques for many years, in 14 years. He could not understand in any way how such people appeared in this world. The hero was calm, because even when he had a low level of perfection, he was still much stronger than many. In the past, he had fought a huge number of enemies, and always came out of the battle victorious. At the same time, the girl was carrying the deputy of the guild. She was also very surprised that such a person wanted to see her brother. For giving the girl a chance to see her brother, the guild deputy promised to put the death of the principal's son down to an accident. The deputy asked how long the girl's brother had been gone, and after hearing the ciphers at 14, she knew right away that the man they were going to see was a monster, since he had spent 140 years in another world. The girls discussed the character and everything to do with the hero. The hero ordered the mage to use his ability again, but the swordsman got up to his back and was ready to strike. The guy had no trouble killing his attacker and continuing his dialogue. The mage used ice attacks, but they had no effect on the hero. The hero used ice dragons, and the enemy instantly turned into ice. The tank began to run away, but ran into a barrier that did not allow him to get out. The hero used an aura to pierce through the head of the fleeing enemy. The director was left alone. He reflected on the incredible power he saw in the hero's performance. The man suggested that the hero had prepared himself before they came. The hero, however, said that he had used the soul of the sword and covered the whole house with it, for he did not want it destroyed. The enemy went to desperate measures and used the berserk skill. The enemy attacked the hero and covered him with multiple attacks. The hero easily dodged, but he got bored and decided to end the whole farce and ended the fight with a single blow. A little while later, the sister and the deputy got to the house, where they saw a picture of the hero removing the bodies of his enemies in a pile and removing blood from the floor. The sister asked for an explanation, and the hero complimented her look. The vice principal emitted a heavenly harmony, which the hero noticed. She contacted him telepathically and told him that he wasn't the only one who had been there. In the morning, the sister woke up and in a panic started looking for her brother. The hero, on the other hand, brought the girl back and said he would not disappear again. The girl was very happy that the return of her brother was not a dream and offered the hero to sleep longer. The guide picked up the phone and said he had a phone call. It had been a whole week since the hero had returned to Earth, and the girl still couldn't believe it was real. The hero went out to the car. The sister remembers that at that time the deputy director called the hero, but all she was told was that they would see each other again. Afterwards, people from the guild came and took you out. The next day, all this was reported on the news. Since the hero's sister was the only survivor of that expedition, she was given a huge vacation. The hero got into his car and headed for Li Jiha. The girl was sitting at the tables waiting for the hero. He approached, and the first thing he asked was that he didn't understand why the girl was watching them around the clock. The girl didn't expect the hero to notice the surveillance and explained it was to protect the guy and his sister. The hero was drinking a drink and immediately remembered. The girl noticed the guy's reaction and said she often stopped by to try this tea. Inadvertently, she asked her hero to tell her about the time he got into the Murim. The hero only said that he didn't like his encounter with that world, so he asked the girl to begin her story. Li Jiha started her story by saying that there were only 4 people who came back from Murim: Mr. Cha Xinhyun, her, and the head of the Twilight Guild, Park Toon. The Twilight Guild was equal to the Dawn Guild in strength. The girl talked about how even though she and the Twilight Guild were now on terrible terms earlier, they discussed their entry into the Murim world. They both appeared in a cave where there was a book on one side and an exit to the Murim world on the other. A few years later, they were brought back to Earth. That's when the era of hunters and dungeons began. The girl also told me that maybe the Murim was connected to the changes on Earth. Hunters and dungeons appeared 14 years ago, after the revelation of the goddess. The girl finished her story and asked if the hero had any questions for her. The boy, on the other hand, asked how they got to Earth. The girl told him that they had died in the Murim and that they had returned to Earth. The hero was incredibly angry, and the girl couldn't understand why the guy was angry, because she thought he had died in the Murim too. The hero was incredibly angry that he could return to Earth simply by dying. Now the hero had a clue about the entity that sent him to Murim. Maybe it was a goddess. Also, the hero was upset that the reward for getting to the end was just going back to Earth. The hero frightened Li Jiha. Also, he asked why the girl called him. She crawled out and asked if the hero would like to take a walk with her. The girl said that they were in a bad situation before, but after the death of their director, by the way, through the hero's fault, their situation was just awful. So the girl asked the guy to take responsibility and join the sunrise. Although the hero said that it was difficult for him to ignore the comments of his sister's boss, he still refused. The girl was surprised and immediately asked the reason for the refusal. The hero simply replied that he was used to being on his own. He also said that it was normal not to want to obey someone weaker than himself. Lee Jiho was offended by this, and she suggested that they check to see who was weaker. The hero reminded her that he had been in Murima for 140 years, and the girl said that age is not proportional to strength. The hero noted that even a master who had lived for 300 years could not resist him in Murima. After these words, the girl used a barrier. Also, the girl used the skill of Origin, a game of shadows. The hero was a little surprised by the girl's ability, because some of his feelings disappeared, and the world within 50 meters became darker. The girl said that it was as if they disappeared outside, and this space can be considered just a copy of the world. Lee Jiha told that she was an assassin, which made the hero laugh. The girl drew her weapon and told her the way out of this space, namely, whether to kill her or to die herself. The hero laughed at the girl's words and teased her. Lee Jiha instantly got in front of the guy and put her blades to his neck, but the hero easily dodged at the last moment. The girl continued to deliver a series of blows, which the guy successfully blocked with his hands. Fighting with the girl, the hero realized who she was in the Murim, namely the best assassin, the Dark King. The girl was surprised that the hero recognized her the first time. The hero told the story of how he met the girl's successor, and how he instantly killed him because of his youth. The hero decided to take pity on the girl and offered her a wager. Let her use her strongest attacks, and if she could wound the guy, he would join the Dawn. The girl used the ability, after which the hero lost all senses. Also, the hero began to attack the aura, but he easily dodged, and then used his strength to repel it. The girl tried to wound the hero, but he again blocked her blow with his hand. According to the rules of the bet, the girl had 3 opportunities to make an attack, 2 of which she had already used up. She assumed that the hero was the strongest warrior Murim, and he nonchalantly said that most likely it was. The girl began to prepare her final attack and said that she could kill the hero. He said that she did not ask for it. She used her assassin skill, shadow daggers, and many magical daggers aimed at the hero. It seemed there was no way to repel it, but the guy used his soul sword and easily disarmed the girl's attack as well as injuring her. The girl found herself in a terrible situation. She was immobilized by the force the hero was emitting, and a huge boulder was flying at her, capable of nailing her. She braced herself for imminent death, but the boulder was struck by the hero, which shattered it into many pieces. The hero reminded her that this was her 3rd attempt and asked if the girl wanted to continue. Lee Jia's hands were shaking. She had lost all her fighting spirit to her true strength. Later, the girl said she wouldn't disturb the guy and wondered about the guy's strength, as for a moment she thought she was out of this world. The hero told her that his aura would have killed her if they had not been in that space. The girl was shocked, and the hero, to his surprise, agreed to the proposal that the girl had said before, but with one modification: he would not be a member of the guild and would remain an outsider. The girl agreed to what he said, but set a condition, namely that he would not cooperate with other guilds. He told the girl not to worry, he would never break his word. Hero asked to remove the guards and surveillance, as otherwise he threatened to kill them. Hero ripped out a piece of clothing and handed it to the girl. He apologized to her for provoking her. The girl was incredibly surprised, but the hero went on to explain. He was curious to see the power of the strongest people in this world. The hero seemed embarrassed that he had crippled the girl. The boy wondered why the girl had become a killer. She told him that she had almost lost her mind and had a great desire to kill someone. Lee Jiha returned to the car where the subordinate was worried about her. She told her that even using her strongest ability, her dagger could not even touch the guy. The subordinate couldn't believe it. And Lee Jiha said that not only did he surpass her expectations, the hero also made her spend all of her OM without attacking her. The girl called the whole situation a total defeat. They continued talking in the car. The hero returned home, where his sister hugged him emotionally. The boy was surprised by the girl's reaction to his appearance, but after a closer look he saw anger on her face. The sister asked the hero not to go anywhere else. She was very afraid of losing him again. The hero stroked the worried girl on the head and told her not to worry. The guy also expressed his desire to become a hunter. The girl's face immediately twisted. The hero showed the magic cube he received from Lee Jiha. With it he could get a status window. The hero proceeded. He took the cube and it began to emit an incredibly bright glow. This amazed the hero. But when the cube just began to disappear, his expression began to change to disappointment. The hero thought Lee Jiha had tricked him, but his sister calmed his brother down and told him to call out the status window. He did so, and saw that he had two status windows, one of the Murim and the other of the hunter of this world. The girl decided to see which status window her brother had and immediately rejoiced. She said that her brother should forget about being a hunter. The hero wondered why his sister was saying that, and she began to explain. Warriors are divided into 6 classes: warrior, tank, mage, priest, assassin. There are higher classes, but those are the basic ones. The girl told me that she herself is an archer, and the highest class is a sniper. The basic classes are innate and cannot be changed. Now the girl was ready to tell why the hero could not become a hunter. The reason was very simple. He simply had no class. The girl continued to press her brother, as she wanted that he would not give up the idea of becoming a hunter. In order to improve, the level requires experience, which is obtained by killing monsters, but without the skills to do so is impossible. The girl said that skills can be obtained through the skill cup, but it costs unimaginably expensive, namely 20 million won, sometimes even 25 million won. The girl said that people with classes get skills as they grow in level, while those without classes have to spend money all the time. The sister already had a taste of victory because she knew her brother had no money, but the hero remembered Lee Jiha, who could give him money. The sister was annoyed that her ingenious plan to dissuade her brother from wanting to become a hunter had failed. The hero wondered that he couldn't understand why a genius from Murim didn't have the talent of a hunter. He assumed it was some kind of mistake. Cheoxin Mountain, the training dungeon of the Dawn Guild. Sister was killing monster rabbits with her bow. The hero was not surprised by such skills. The rabbit's body disappeared and a rock appeared in its place. The boy picked it up and was surprised that this stone could be exchanged for money. The girl told him that it was an incredibly important resource that made the nuclear plants disappear. The girl warned the hero to be careful, as she still underestimates him. She worries. The hero easily outmaneuvered the rabbits that attacked him. Due to the fact that the hero used the abilities from the Murim, killing the rabbits didn't gain him any experience. The hero looked at his only D-rank skill. It was the class skill of a warrior. His sister noticed the guy's reaction and came over to tell him that they still had time to try out the guy's skill. The hero was embarrassed that the skill was D-rank, and the girl said she couldn't even imagine what kind of contract he had with Lee Jiha, but the sister was sure that the hero would be of great benefit to her. Suddenly the hero's face became gloomy. The girl was worried, but he took her hand and told her he had found a better place. After they arrived at the place, the girl was horrified. At the place was an incredibly huge number of monsters. The girl asked how many of them, and to her surprise the hero said the exact number, namely 337 rabbits. The girl was worried because there were a lot of monsters, and her brother is only at the initial level. The hero told his sister not to worry and jumped right up to the rabbits. In fact, it really hurt the hero that his swordsmanship was graded a D-level skill. He landed on the ground, causing the objects around him to start cracking and breaking. The rabbits noticed the guy and were ready to attack. Abruptly, windows appeared telling the guy to hit the lines. This infuriated the hero even more, as he had been practicing with his sword for an enormous amount of time. He shattered those windows. The monsters jumped on the hero, and he used his Fino-Apno and cut through many rabbits with blow after blow. The hero gleefully told the system that it would take her another 100 years to teach him anything. The windows appeared again. The hero had already managed to get angry, but after paying attention to the text, he realized that his swordsmanship skill reached A+. The hero started poking at the windows that appeared in an attempt to change the settings. His sister was shocked and wondered what it was just now. The hero, on the other hand, kept poking around in the windows, looking to see if his strength was showing up in the system. Her sister continued to wonder. What just happened was simply impossible, as the hero reached A+ rank in the blink of an eye. The hero found it entertaining thing and was surprised. He asked his sister one thing: "Is it true that you can get experience even if the skill is passive?" The girl confirmed, but asked if anything was wrong. The hero smiled as he gained an A+ rank origin skill that allowed him to freely transform his enhancement. The guy got into a stance, swung his arm, and landed a powerful punch that seemed to cut through space itself. The hero told the girl the good news. Now he could use his martial arts skills to gain experience. The hero assumed that the strongest in Korea also got this skill. The sister was horrified at her brother's blow. The girl turned to her brother. She guessed that the hero is strong. However, when she saw with her own eyes, she realized that this power is amazing. The girl said that in the wolf dungeon, if she had been stronger, people on her team might have survived. The girl cried and said she didn't know how to lose anyone else because of her weakness. She asked her brother to train her to make her at least a little stronger. The hero put his hand on the girl's shoulder and reassured her. He promised to be sure to train her. Smiling, the hero admitted that he had never had disciples, but also said that he would be harsh with the girl. The girl was incredibly happy about this opportunity, and the hero did it so that her sister could protect herself in a critical situation. The hero, smiling and in a good mood, said that it was time for them to go to the next point. As the family fled, the sister asked what the brother planned to do next. Rabbits jumped at them from the mountain. The hero spotted them and prepared to strike by filling his fist with energy. He launched an attack, and it killed the unsuspecting rabbits. The hero said that he would use martial arts, and also intends to learn other class skills. He remembered Lee Jiha, who became much stronger after combining her martial arts with her skills. The hero was surprised and jumped out of his seat. After jumping, he found himself over a crowd of monsters and began to ponder, because he remembered magic, which even with his powers is difficult to combine. The hero struck an incredibly strong magical blow. The girl was struck again by such power. The boy continued to talk. He was determined to become a mage, because this was a new area for him, and if he combined it with martial arts, he would become much stronger. The girl's gaze went blank for the reason that it was harder to become a mage without a class, as the cubes for mages were much more expensive than normal ones. The hero rejoiced while the girl decided not to tell him anything. The hero became familiar with the two systems he had, and now she knew that there was a big gap between them. The Murim system has only two indicators of external and internal strength, but the hunter system has absolutely everything. The hero reflected on the fact that the origin of the systems is different, or rather they were created by different creatures, but by the same methodology. With the hunter system, you could level up by killing monsters, but with the Mirim, you had to spend a huge amount of time to make a breakthrough. The hero remembered that he was lucky enough to wake up in a cave that had incredibly faithful martial arts techniques. The hero continued to think, and to his great surprise, he realized the creature that gave the world the human system was the goddess, the creature that transported him to the Muirim, the heavenly warrior. The hero, along with his sister, had been walking around the dungeons and leveling up for a month now. Seeing different monsters, he started to get the feeling that he was still not on Earth. The hero managed to reach level 22. The guy also taught his sister 365 vessels in the human body. In fact, for his sister's age, it is too late to start studying martial arts, but he found a way out. The hero walked up to his sister, who did not understand anything, put his hand on her back. He asked her not to cry and not to scream, even if she was about to bleed. The girl did not understand what her brother was saying to her, but a moment later the girl's screams could be heard from their apartment to the whole street. The hero pierced her vessels and poured his power into her body. Through this procedure, the girl began to raise her skills. The hero met Li Jia, who offered to get right to the point. The hero noticed that the girl was not ceremonious as usual and went straight to the point, to which she replied that this was part of her character. He noticed that Li Jia hadn't called in a while, and assumed she was up to something. His guess turned out to be right. The girl advanced to the guy and offered to go on a date with her. Initially, the hero was surprised, but almost instantly calmed down and refused the girl's offer. The girl, on the other hand, said that she did not have to refuse right away and told him about a level 10 dungeon, to which hunters are allowed no lower than level 45. The girl said she wanted to go there with the hero. The guy asked why the two of them should go to that dungeon together. The girl said that dungeons of that level have player control, and she wanted the hero to get stronger as a hunter. The guy was amused by this, as the girl wants to speed up his improvement. The girl replied that the words the guy uses are very old-fashioned, although she admitted that for an old man it is normal. The hero recalled that whatever alliance they had was only supporting the Dawn, so he didn't understand why the girl would make him stronger. The girl talked about the Sun Festival. It was an annual event in which the strongest guilds in Korea showed their strength. Although from the outside it looked like a friendly competition, in reality, it would be fashionable to call it small wars. Now there's a war between the Dawn and Dusk guilds, and they're killing each other in a dungeon, which is why the public doesn't know anything. The hero didn't understand what they were fighting for. Li Jia told that it was all because of Park Toon, who suddenly began to increase his power. After saying that Park Toon began to obey the heavenly warrior, the hero lit up. He started to ask what his relationship with the heavenly warrior was, but the girl just said she didn't know anything. The hero wondered. The girl went on talking. She couldn't understand why he was doing that. They used to be friends. The girl felt sad, because they had been close to him, as the only people who had survived the horror of Mirim. The girl very insistently asked the hero to participate in the Sun Festival as an ally of the Dawn. The man sat in the car. The hero and the girl approached the car and talked about how Twilight takes over a lot of the dungeons. If the fact that Twilight is taking a more advantageous position is revealed, then Dawn is over. The girl also reminded them that they had lost the director at such an important moment. The hero said that he understood what the girl was talking about, but he still did not understand why to help him almost as a hunter. Li Jia told her that the Sun holiday is broadcast to the whole world, so there is a lot of press following it. If the hero used martial arts, that could cause problems. The girl asked if the hero was ready to confront the World Hunter Association. The girl asked to use only the skills of a hunter, and the hero reluctantly agreed. The girl rejoiced at the hero's agreement, and he asked if she had gotten what he had forgiven. The girl showed the suitcase, which had 6 cubes of skills, and 1 each of the higher skills of a mage and a wizard. The hero thought he had made the right decision, but after being pelted with the right documents, he was angry. It's not like in this world like in Yurima. Here you have to confirm everything with documents. The girl told the hero to register a guild, even though the hero didn't want to. The girl told how much the skill she bought for the hero cost, so he had to agree. The hero came up with a name for the guild, the Martial Arts Guild. The hero and Li Jiha headed to the Wyvern Dungeon. The girl asked the hero to be careful, though wyverns are not that strong alone, but there are a lot of them. The hero agreed that there were many, as he was able to sense 3,000 monsters. But the hero was only happy to have so many monsters. He began to accumulate energy, swung, and struck an incredible magical blow that killed a huge number of monsters. The girl was very surprised, as the hero was able to master the skill in just a couple of hours. He also told her that magical power and energy management are similar. The girl asked the hero not to overdo it, as he could run out of a whim. The hero, on the other hand, was not worried about it. The boy asked the girl if all the monsters in the dungeon were the same type. She said they were. Harab thought that was strange. The girl went on to say that no dungeon with more than one type of monster had been found in 13 years. A huge monster was killing wyverns. A man was feeding fish. It was the Pitchfork of Paktoon, leader of the Twilight Guild. The man was approached by the man. He told him that the Dawn Guild deputy was doing strange activity. He also told the leader about a newcomer that the Dawn Guild is supporting with all its might. The leader continued to feed the fish and asked for more information. The subordinate told him that the hero is the brother of Cha Yun-sol, who is part of the Dawn Guild. He also talked about an oddity, namely that the hero disappeared for 14 years. The subordinate said another oddity, namely that the time of the hero's appearance coincided with the director's resignation. The leader asked the subordinate to stop and asked where the hero had been for 14 years. He started taking a bunch of papers and said that their intelligence had not yet been able to figure it out. But the intelligence found out another thing, and that the director had disappeared, not resigned. The leader suggested that the director had been dead for a long time. One thing became obvious to the Twilight Guild leader, and that was that the protagonist was from Urim. The hero continued to have fun in the dungeon. He enjoyed killing monsters. The girl, on the other hand, was surprised by Oz's incommensurable reserves, as the hero placed monsters without a break for an hour, and there is no exhaustion. The hero decided to explain to the girl the anomaly with his Oz. The hero told that the skill given by the girl, which allows to exchange a life for Oz, helps him. The hero began to load the girl with information, and it turned out that his body is immortal. Actually, for this reason, he has an infinite amount of mana. The girl was tired of such a huge amount of information, and the hero just said that even though they are different powers, but due to the fact that he reached the limit in one, it will now be easier for the second. The hero decided to destroy all the change before the battle with the boss. The girl thought about how stupid she was. She not only tried to use him, but even to kill him. After thinking about it, the girl wanted to reach the same level as the hero. For this reason, the girl jumped up and started killing monsters. Falling down, she latched onto a rock and jumped back up to attack the monsters again. When she landed, she noticed the huge amount of stones that fell off the monsters. She couldn't figure out when he was going to collect such a huge amount. The girl pondered that the danger level of the dungeon was much higher than it was supposed to be, so she needed to raise it. She pondered about who to take on the raid, but her thoughts were interrupted by the appearance of a huge monster. She couldn't understand where such huge monsters came from. The girl tried to retreat. The monster noticed her and instantly was in front of her ready to eat the girl. He drew his weapon, but the monster used demonic power, which made her fly away. The girl knew there was something wrong with the dungeon system. The girl was just about ready to accept her doom when a hero appeared and cut through the monster and saved her. The hero told the girl that he had noticed them before. She couldn't understand why he hadn't done anything then. The guy, on the other hand, explained that the boss had to be fought at the end. The hero told the girl not to worry. The guy walked away from the monsters and offered Li Jia something to eat. The girl, on the other hand, said that this was a bit of a bad time. The hero, on the other hand, began to accumulate energy, with fire in one hand and lightning bolts in the other. He said to wait for him for a while, and also warned that they would have a fried chicken. The girl was surprised at the guy's strength, even though the hero said he was using magic. It seemed to Li Jia that it was more like blows. That being said, she was very surprised that every blow the hero took was imbued with pure magic. Suddenly the girl's face turned pale. A huge green portal appeared right in the sky, from which monsters began to fly out. She shouted to the hero to retreat. The girl could not sit still as she felt that the hero was in danger, and she rushed to his rescue. The guy didn't listen to Li Jia. She used her ability on the dragon, but a huge number of little monsters flew there to protect the monster. The girl shouted the guy's name, but all she had to do was stand there and watch, as her powers were very low. She noticed an interesting oddity. The little monsters moved as if ordered. The girl came up with a plan, as they needed to eliminate the huge monsters first in order to win. Li Jia turned her attention to the hero, who remained indifferently in the huge cluster of monsters. The girl did not understand what the hero was thinking. She meets such an anomaly for the first time. Also, the girl thought that regardless of the strength of the hero, there is dangerous. The girl climbed on one of the vertebrae. She succeeded as they all followed the hero. However, the girl's plan failed, and one of the monsters flew into the fan in which she was flying. The girl rapidly began to fall downward. She used the dagger to lash out at the other monster. The monster that spotted the girl was aimed at her. She decided to jump and attack the monster. The girl was confident in her strength, since in a one-on-one being, no monster could defeat her. She used the shadow game, but soon she was in for a disappointment. At the last moment, a hero intervened and again saved her life. He destroyed a huge number of monsters with his blows. Li Jia, who was watching this, and was incredibly surprised, as the hero summoned a huge number of swords even without a source of power, so also controlling each of them. It proved that the hero had infinite energy to be able to pull this off. The guy decided to stop pretending to be a hunter and aim thousands of swords at his enemies. All that was left of the huge number of monsters were the stones that covered the ground of the dungeon. Although the girl was glad she had survived, she was very concerned about what it was. If this happened in other dungeons, it would become too dangerous. The hero considered the stone that had fallen off the monster. The girl was worried, as she wanted to investigate, but the problem was the head of the Twilight Guild, who would find out about it right away. She didn't know what to do, but the hero interrupted the girl's thoughts by asking about the stone, which was different from the others. It was a monster skill stone. It falls incredibly rare, and the size of this stone would horrify anyone. The girl expressed her desire to talk to the hero. A month later, outside, people were discussing the upcoming Sunshine Festival. They were discussing the hero, who they thought had become a hunter just a month ago. It was all overheard by a man. When this man came to work, a glass was broken over his head, and they started shouting. Since this man was unable to find out anything about the hero, the head asked the director to calm down. Then he made a serious face and ordered him to sit down. The headmaster sat down in silence. The head began to talk about how the Dawn Guild was wrong to reveal their cards so early. The chapter intended to destroy the sprouts before they sprouted. The man from the Twilight Guild sat in the cafe and was visibly nervous. He glanced at his watch. The time was now. The hero had come to this meeting, and as soon as the man saw him, he sewed right away. He thanked the guy for accepting the invitations. The hero got wary, and the man who invited him there offered to shake hands. The hero did not pay attention at first, but then shook hands with the person he was talking to. The hero asked who the person he was talking to answered. The way the hero spoke seemed rude to this man, but it would only help in his purpose to find out everything possible about the hero. They got down to business, and as the man took something out of his briefcase, the hero thought about what a stretch he was. The member of the Twilight Guild pulled out a magical tool, namely a soundproof barrier. He pressed a button, and this barrier formed. The man explained that the thing was very suitable for private conversations. The hero was interested in the word private. The man confessed why he requested a meeting with the hero. His guild was going to make an alliance with the guy's guild. The hero didn't understand why all of this, since she was already a partner of the Dawn Guild. The man confessed that he was aware of this, and also that the Dawn Guild was investing all its energy into the guy's development. He also revealed that they knew about the director's disappearance and about the hero's joint raid. The man noted that the hero didn't join the Dawn Guild. He also knows that the guild was created only to lure Dawn. He promised better conditions than Dawn and offered the hero to join them. The hero was amused, but even interested. There was only one thing, but he would never break his promise. The man began to talk about their pact, but the hero stopped him. He got up and walked away from there. The guy only came to the meeting with interest. Now he realizes he was only wasting his time. The man got nervous right away. He offered twice as much money as Dawn, but the hero didn't care about the money, as he would never sell his promise for any money. The member of the Twilight Guild was visibly nervous. He tried to stop the hero, but he didn't know how to do it at all. The man in the other cafe jacket turned to the man. It was the head of the guild. He approached the man and in a menacing tone reminded him that he had ordered the conversation to continue as long as possible. He grabbed the subordinate by the tie and still let him go. The man immediately began to apologize. The head said that it was all right. He was very concerned about the reason why the hero had come. He could not understand him in any way. Li Jie found out what happened from the hero. The hero also said that most likely members of the Twilight Guild knew that he was from Urim. Although he didn't feel the resonance, he noticed the energy of the chapter. Hero continued the conversation on the phone. The girl said that so far there has been no progress in investigating the dungeon issue. The girl also thanked the hero for his help in this matter. He said that it wasn't a problem for him. He still needed to raise the level. The girl asked why the hero's tone was so gloomy. At the same time, her sister asked when the guy would finish talking. She said they could go. The hero hung up. The brother and sister headed to their parents' grave. The girl was crying and talking about her brother's return. The hero, on the other hand, stood there and seemed very upset. He thought it was a bad idea to come here, as he had changed a lot since then. Even looking at the picture of his parents, the hero did not feel anything. He did not want to show that side to his sister. The girl asked the hero if he was okay. She said the boy didn't look sad or moody. The hero, on the other hand, just kept quiet. The girl asked why the hero was silent. She asked if he really didn't feel anything, to which the brother apologized. The hero said he would remain the same brother, but he could not show what he had lost. The girl was angry. The girl was very angry about that apology. That's not what she wanted to hear at all. She wished her brother would have supported her like in the past. The girl said that the hero had changed a lot, and she would like to see the brother she once knew. The hero said he couldn't be the same since it was a long time ago. The girl left saying she didn't feel she was living with him. The hero regretted going along with her. The hero also wanted to know why he had changed, but his thoughts were interrupted by a notification from the Murim system that said, "Why does he still consider himself human?" After the notification from the Murim system, the hero did not understand what nonsense he was being told. The system continued and told him to stop resisting senselessly and contact him whenever he needed help. The hero nonchalantly complained that his enemy was talking unilaterally and specified who he was. The boy smiled and asked if the author of this system was a heavenly warrior. The system warned him that it would again take everything from the hero, and he in turn took it as a challenge. He started smiling and warned that he would find him soon and tear him apart. The last system window told the hero to just wait. The guy remained standing in the same place. The hero decided that under no circumstances would he give up his. The hero's sister was walking crying. She decided to turn around, and was very upset that her brother didn't follow her. A couple of days later, the Sunshine Fest began. The commentators were warming up the interest of the audience. The arena where the fights were to take place was enormous. There was an enormous crowd of spectators cheering on their favorite hunters. All the people were happy, only the hunters knew the true purpose of the feast. At the same time, the heroes suggested that the holiday was very similar to the Olympics. Li Jia said that the difference is huge, as the hunters get more attention. The power of the hunters is similar to that in the movies, and it is much more interesting to watch. The girl also added that this holiday helps improve the image of the hunters. The hero was staring into the void during all the stories, and seemed to be thinking about something. Jihan noticed this and asked if his sister was all right. She recalled that there hadn't been much of an atmosphere between her brother and sister since her arrival. The girl continued to press the hero with her speculations. The hero interrupted his friend and said he wanted a house in a quiet place. The girl at first didn't understand what all this was about, but after the hero told her about the message from the Murim system, her face immediately changed. The guy told her that the enemy was probably strong and that his only weakness was his sister. The girl was really shocked by what she heard. She stood up and still advised the hero not to abandon his sister. The hero, on the other hand, had the face of the show. He was sure she certainly didn't need such a brother. The hero told her that his sister had said so herself. He was saddened, but suddenly noticed a blow from his girlfriend, who was trying to bring him to his senses. The girl did not hit him so hard and said that even though it was none of her business, if her brother had said that to her, she would have been offended and would not forgive him. Their dialogue was interrupted by a man who was addressing the guild master. She was very embarrassed as the subordinate saw what they were doing. She went about her business, and the hero was left pondering what he had heard. The announcer announced that there would be an opening ceremony before the bouts began. This celebration was opened by the leaders of the Dawn and Dusk sections. One of the announcers enthusiastically turned to her partner and asked if it was true that Li Jihe used to be in the guild with the Twilight Sect leader. It was true. The announcer announced that such an encounter was unbelievable. The enemy reached out his hand to the girl to greet her. She, on the other hand, was incredibly annoyed by this. In spite of her inner anger, she smilingly introduced her old friend. She also expressed her surprise that the guy who was her deputy had risen so well. This provoked the guy, but the head didn't give him a chance to do anything about it. The man began to sneer back and said that the girl was always in the business of helping the weak. In his mind, the head promised himself to get rid of the hero with his own hands. The girl, on the other hand, said she would take the man's words as a compliment. They shook hands, and the Feast of the Sun was officially begun. The warrior shouted fighting in the arena. He used the skill of successive attacks and pressed his opponent. The girl's defense was cracking at the seams, and the man was ready to end the fight with a hard punch. He threw a punch, and she began to cough up blood. The duel was over, and the announcers announced the winner. The head of the Twilight Guild scoffed at the dawn, as the girl who lost in the arena was from the guild. Li Jihe didn't fall for the man's provocations. The head decided to leave for a while. As he left, he expressed his hopes that the fight would entertain him. Li Jihe still didn't fall for the provocation. The head was approached by his subordinate. He asked if he could kill the girl. The man said they shouldn't hurry. He also said that everything has its time. A new creation began, a battle of archers. The announcer himself was excited about the upcoming battle. He asked who his partner was rooting for, and he told him Cha Yu-sol. Another announcer recalled an incident that happened to the hero's sister. The hero's sister's partners were discussing her involvement. They were afraid she would get them killed in the fight too. The girl, on the other hand, said to talk about everything directly, not to whisper behind her back. The boys decided to leave. The girl was upset. She remembered the moment she cut her hair with her brother, and it upset her that they hadn't spoken since then. She became very angry and expressed her dissatisfaction out loud. The girl's monologue was interrupted, and she was invited into the waiting room. After hearing this, her eyes immediately filled with life. She wished it had been her brother. In fact, it turned out to be Li Jihe, which made the girl incredibly upset. She asked what the deputy head wanted from her. She said she had just come to support her. Li Jihe was concerned about the appearance of her subordinate. She decided to advise her brother and sister to talk so that things could be resolved quickly. The girl was a little angry and wondered since when did the deputy head interfere in family life. She said she was just worried about them. The sister said that she didn't like Li Jihe because he was influencing her brother. It came to the girl's realization that after talking to the deputy, her brother wanted to become a hunter and continue to distance himself from his normal life. The girl was angry. She didn't understand why the hero sought even more power. She cried as her brother seemed a stranger to her. It was announced that the Battle of the Archers was beginning and the participants needed to come to the arena. Her sister wiped away her tears and decided to leave. Before her sister did so, the deputy head said that her brother had not changed of his own volition. He had been changed by the horror he had endured. Life in the other world was hell, where every second you had to fight for your life. Her sister was upset. She thought her brother thought she was unreliable. The girl walked away. Li Jihe looked in the direction of the hero, who had been listening to their conversation all along. She began to speak to the hero. He said he was just passing by. The girl walked over to the guy. She took him by the scruff of the neck and told him to be sincere with his sister. She also told him to be straight with his sister because he was hurting her. The girl called the hero behind her to show a side of his sister that he didn't know about. The fight began. The archers immediately ran. The head, who was watching the duel, had some plan in mind to hurt the hero's sister. The girl kept in touch by earphones. Information about the enemy was reported to her. Remembering the words of the deputy director, the girl struck the wall with sheer force. Her sister was angry because he tells Lee Jiha everything, and she gets nothing. She is no longer the child he used to know. The enemy was moving, and the girl decided to attack him using her bow. She used the aiming arrow. The arrow hit right in the enemy's chest, and he dropped out. The girl destroyed one of her enemies in a heartbeat. She didn't want her brother to look down on her. In the past, the girl had ended up in an orphanage. She was incredibly upset. But still she believed that her brother was not dead, but alive, and would soon return to her. The girl looked blankly at the television, through which the goddess was broadcasting. She said that humanity must evolve in order to defeat the catastrophe. The adults immediately thought that the television set was broken. The girl continued to believe that her brother would return, and she soon earned a class in archery. She went to the Hunter's Academy, where she was bullied. Her classmates spilled milk on the poor girl. The reason for the bullying was that the girl studied for free, while others paid money for it. Her sister couldn't stand it and threw a full glass at her abuser. She said that if they were so jealous, then let them go and become orphans too. She said that if the guy wanted to go on, they should go out. That scared the bullies. After she graduated from the academy, she was a top student and was hired by the Big Dawn Guild. The wolf attacked the archer. She reached for a fragment of an arrow and killed the monster. Her thirst for strength and life allowed her to grow stronger with each fight. The deputy head came to the place to help the girl, but it turned out that it was no longer necessary. It was then that the deputy headmaster learned the name of the hero's sister. Lee Jiho was impressed by the girl's look, and she was sure that the sister would become stronger. The girl continued to get stronger. She was determined to last until her brother returned. She looked at the picture of her family. The girl was jealous of her brother for Lee Jiha. The girl started screaming again because her brother was treating her like a child. The girl noticed that it had become very quiet. She tried to contact the group, but ended up getting several arrows instead of an answer. She started to retreat, but one of the arrows hit her arm. It was a special group targeting the girl. It wasn't a serious wound, no muscle damage, just a small puncture in the skin. The only thing that confused the girl was that the competition arrows had a blunt tip, and that was definitely not it. One of the enemies jumped down and warned the girl that she might not wait for help. The sister was amused by this. She took the arrow out of her hand and said she had never hoped for anyone's help in her life. The girl threw out a drawn arrow, charged 3 arrows into her bow, and warned that the enemies were finished. The enemies fired a huge number of arrows. Before they caught up with the girl, she was able to dodge. While still in the air, she used her archery skill. 2 of the 3 arrows fired hit the target. She was worried, as she missed one of her opponents due to a wound. The enemy, on the other hand, was very surprised by the hero's sister's skills. All the higher classes of archers work like rock, paper, scissors, so the enemies formed a team of rangers who should easily kill the sniper. The girl pondered, pleased by the fact that the pain was not yet severe. An opponent appeared on her right, ready to fire at any moment. The girl dodged and immediately launched a counterattack. Thanks to luck, the enemy was able to dodge the girl's arrows. He began yelling at the hero's sister. One of the arrows shot by the girl came back and hit the guy in the back. As a result, The girl was left alone with the enemy. They pointed their bows at each other. Their gazes collided. But the girl did not take into account the fact that she did not have live arrows. One opponent came to his senses and shot her in the side. She knew she would not be able to dodge that arrow. Suddenly her brother's voice appeared in her head and advised her to use martial arts. Her sister used her bare hands to take the arrow. The enemy was shocked, but the girl got up close to him and punched him right in the jaw with her fist. She reminded the last enemy that they were left alone, from which the man was furious and decided to surrender. Though the enemy admitted defeat, an arrow flew into the back of his head, rendering him unconscious. These were the men who, along with the girl, represented the Dawn. The victory of the Dawn team was announced. The people adoring the hero's sister behind her admired her strength. The girl wanted to cope on her own, but still looked at her brother and thanked him for saving her life. The hero, on the other hand, was pleased with his sister's work. Li Jia asked if the hero had seen what she wanted to show him. The boy had to admit what he had seen. The hero admitted that he didn't know much about his sister. He was surprised that that little baby sister was so strong now. Suddenly the boy was proud, for it was to be expected. After all, she was his sister. The girl was glad that the moment of battle was not broadcast because her sister used martial arts. At the same time, the head was able to see the martial arts. A little while later the girl bragged about her strength to her brother. The hero did not want to admit it, so he kept silent. Seeing her brother's gaze, the girl began to say that for the great someone out there, that strength really is nothing. The hero interrupted his sister and told her that she was strong. He also apologized for keeping things from her. He also apologized for thinking she was a little girl like she was in the past. Her sister told him that she wanted to find the man who had ruined her family, and that was the reason she became a hunter. The girl believed that when she reached the highest level, she could get a clue. As a result, the sister extended her little finger to the hero and offered to forget the past. She also made one request, namely that the hero never leave her again. The hero said it was obvious, but the girl continued. The sister asked him to never hide anything from her again. This pleased the guy, and he promised to do everything as his sister asked. Also, the hero decided to clarify, because his nickname is not Immortal Someone There, but Immortal Sword God. At first, the girl was embarrassed, but then she was embarrassed. It was announced that a great battle would begin in an hour. The hero headed there and said goodbye to the girl. The girl asked about the hero's clothes, and he said they were comfortable, so he didn't think her choice was strange. The hero was also worried that his sister seemed to be specifically targeted. As a result, the girl assumed that the enemies just wanted to get rid of the pro-Dawn. The hero, on the other hand, wondered about the notification of the Murim system that he had once received, namely that he would lose everything. The deputy head introduced the hero to the head of the Dawn Guild. He immediately shook hands with the hero and generally behaved very energetically. The head communicated very well with the members of the guild, but the hero was a little different in his opinion of the head of the Dawn. The man said goodbye and wished him good luck in his preparations before the battle. The hero used telepathy to say he wouldn't be scorching martial arts. The lad also thanked the Zam for the fact that he was able to measure up to his sister. The girl smiled. She was glad that things were going well between them. The guild people approached the hero. They had heard a lot from the deputy head and seemed very excited to meet the hero. Suddenly the situation changed as the head of the Twilight Guild entered the room. The hero assumed that the head was involved in that case by order of the heavenly warrior. The man said he had only stopped by to say hello. The people were not particularly happy about such a greeting. Noticing this, the head said he had come to spy. He approached the hero and said he had heard a lot about him. For some reason, the man asked if this was the first time they were meeting the hero. The guy shook hands with the enemy and said it was indeed their first meeting. The head could not understand. His heavenly harmony could not find any response. How could his sister learn martial arts if the guy himself is not from Urim? The hero looked at the man who had previously tried to get information on him and said he knew him. The secretary was shaking, and the hero and the head of the guild continued their unpleasant dialogue. The hero took off his mask of friendliness and promised that the man would regret choosing to attack his sister. It was a challenge that the head so desired. The hero promised to put on a very interesting show, and additionally for himself to wipe the Twilight Guild off the face of the earth. The long-awaited battle was about to begin. The commentator was just excited. The guild heads were waiting, too, for the start of the competition. The commentator announced the start of the legendary battle between the Dawn and Dusk guilds. The whole hall was ecstatic. The commentator announced a participant from the Dawn Guild, a super newcomer who had attracted a lot of attention. The head of the Martial Arts Guild, Hunter Cha Shin-hyun. The commentator continued to react very vehemently. She wondered what was so special about the hero, since he was the first one to participate from outside the guild. The second commentator said that everything about the hero was hidden. The hero's opponent was the head of the forward squad of Twilight, an ingenious mage, the flame of the fire dragon, Ryu Sunggon. He threatened the hero, and the guy was only amused by his nickname, though it would sound normal in Yurima. In this world it's ridiculous. The hero and his opponent met each other's eyes, and the duel began. The head was watching the SWATs. He planned for his man to kill the hero. The enemy looked at the head and intended to carry out the order. Suddenly the hero took off, and the enemy was surprised, as he could immediately reveal the hero's class, Warlock. The commentators were thrilled, and the head of the Dawn Guild got worried and asked if the hero had any plan. The deputy head made a grim face and said he didn't have any plan. The hero looked at the enemy and analyzed him. The hero remembered that this man's level is about the same as that of the headmaster he killed earlier. Though he can use martial arts to win instantly, he needs to use the abilities of a hunter. The hero is now level 53. Right now the guy has no experience as a hunter. So the enemy leader is also watching the hero. The hero was amused by this, and used the fire ability. He directed the attack at the enemy. A huge number of fire spheres overtook the enemy, who managed to defend himself with magic. The enemy understood that this was a basic class skill, so he assumed that the hero was probing him. The enemy used a fire whip and tried to counterattack the hero. Mages only have 3 higher classes: craftsmen, wizards, and enchanters. Enchanters use more paranormal abilities than magic. They are usually in the rear and have secret weapons. The enemy decided not to stand still and approached the hero. He used a flame attack. A huge amount of flame was directed at the hero. When the attack reached the guy, there was a huge explosion. The head of the Dawn Guild was incredibly surprised. The hero remained uninjured, but was incredibly angry. His mood was spoiled by the fact that the enemy's thinking was a bit like his. The enemy decided to use a special skill and threaten the hero. The enemy used a fire dragon march, and a huge fire dragon attacked the hero. The guy was surprised by the enemy's attack, but he also decided to get his trump card. He put his finger down. The enemy was in utter confusion. This attack was completely dispelled. The commentators were shocked by what they saw. They couldn't understand what had happened. The arena was incredibly cracked, and the heroes stood in a huge crater completely intact. People didn't understand what they had just seen either. The hero used magic perfectly, so he managed to avoid the attack. The head asked Zama what it was, and she laughed hysterically. The girl understood that the hero was able to cover his power with magic, but the head said she didn't know anything herself. The head, who was watching the fight, was simply furious. The enemy just stood there in a stupor. His pride was shattered. Out of anger, he attacked the guy again. The hero, on the other hand, easily blocked the aggressive attacks of the enemy. The enemy jumped up. He tried to kick the hero, but the guy easily managed to avoid the attack. The enemy continued to make a series of furious attacks, while the hero easily dodged them. The guy laughed at the enemy, while he was still blinded by his anger. The hero warned the enemy, though he fought well, but made a huge mistake, namely spoiling his mood. The hero used a small part of his power, and the enemy fell to the ground. During the fight, the hero gave advice to the enemy. He pointed out his mistakes. The enemy wondered how the hero was able to do this. The Muromovian revealed the secret. She admitted that he had much more experience in martial arts. He approached the face of the enemy and asked if he would continue to fight. The enemy was angry. He decided to incinerate the hero. At the last moment, the guy reacted and retreated, while the enemy was covered in fire. The enemy decided to use up all his mana in order to destroy the hero. He directed a multitude of fire dragons. They were headed toward the hero with an incredible gift. A smile appeared on the boy's face. For now, he would have to use some of his power. The announcers excitedly said that the firebender was about to simply incinerate the arena, and that the hero would have to try hard to survive. The commentator was in shock. Even she could feel the incredible heat of the flames. The deputy head watched what was happening. Suddenly her face changed. The hero used a solid barrier that held back the enemy's attack. The guy recognized that the enemy's attacks were annoying, also noticed that they were easy to block. The hero's body was immortal, so neither cold nor heat could affect him. An attack of incredible proportions was destroyed. The only one left was the hero, who called the attack pathetic. Everyone was in complete shock, especially the commentators, who could not believe what they saw. The enemy, on the other hand, fell to his knees, powerless. The commentators assumed it was some inhuman level of gravity control. The hero recalled his hand with fire magic. He called their battle quite interesting. The enemy was terrified, and the hero struck a very powerful blow filled with magic. The enemy flew away, and the hero said it was time to end the fight. The enemy leader asked his subordinate who would be next. It was supposed to be Ji-hyun. The leader asked him to tell Ji-hyun to use that thing. Ji-hyun was the Twilight Guild spearman, who according to the head's plan was to wipe out the Dawn Guild. Into the arena came the Spear of Twilight, the Mage Killer. The commentators were discussing the nickname, which screamed so much about the fact that Ji-hyun never lost to the mages. The hero was looking forward to the battle with the Mage Killer. The head of the Dawn Guild was looking forward to the hero's defeat. The duel began, and the enemy immediately used the knight's enhancement. He headed into a furious attack on the hero. He struck with his spear, but it was easy for the hero to avoid the collision. The hero was amused by the enemy's attack. The guy didn't care. He thought the enemy was a wasteland. He used a fireball attack. Smoke went up. The enemy managed to survive and immediately headed for an attack. He got close to the hero, but the guy reacted quickly and retreated. The hero was well aware of the speed and toughness of the enemy. He decided to move into aerial combat. Suddenly the knight used his spear to jump up. He attacked the hero in the air, but he was able to block the blow with a barrier. Much to his surprise, the barrier cracked. The hero was knocked to the ground. Such an attack stunned the hero, for it was the first time in a long period that he had been hit in the ground. The enemy came down from the air. The hero, on the other hand, rose from the crater that had been created by his body. The enemy stood. The hero, on the other hand, used his gravity magic. The enemy instantly began to sink to the ground. It was an incredible amount of pressure. The head was calm. His calm was justified. The enemy was able to hold himself upright. He was even able to lift his head. The hero was also surprised that the enemy was able to resist the gravitational magic. The enemy told the guy to get ready. The hero, on the other hand, said that this was only the beginning. He turned his finger the other way. The enemy was blown right into the wall. Allies and enemies were shocked by what they saw. The commentators, too, could not believe what they had witnessed. They couldn't understand what kind of skill the hero was using. The hero opened his cards. He praised his opponent for holding out for so long. He also said that his ability was attraction and repulsion, not gravity. The hero went on to explain the principle of his ability to the seemingly unconscious body of the knight. Suddenly the enemy rose, and said that the lad was not supposed to reveal his weakness. The enemy was using a special skill. The enemy had communicated with the Zamas telepathically, and said that the hero was finished. The enemy's most special ability was that he could forbid the use of magic for 10 seconds. The hero seemed shocked. Before the duel, the knight was told that he had to use the ability to forbid the use of magic in a duel against the hero. The knight did not want to use the skill in public, but it was explained to him that most likely the hero was hiding something. So he asked to kill the guy. The hero was shocked that he couldn't use magic, and the enemy was already ready to strike a decisive blow. The guy couldn't understand what it was, and the enemy was ready to kill him. And so, the knight struck an incredibly strong blow, from which the hero managed to evade. The mage assassin said that it was his special skill that was incredibly good at killing mages. The audience was shocked. The allies were just as shocked. Li Jia told the hero to surrender immediately, and not to use martial arts under any circumstances. The hero was incredibly unhappy with what he heard. The enemy said he could neither run and nor surrender. The enemy had used every possible bonus to attack, and now his strike could easily destroy the house. The knight snapped out of his seat and headed for the hero. The boy continued to stand. When the enemy swung for a blow, the hero's face changed very much. Yes, that the immortal sword emperor himself would lose. There was no such thing. The hero began to use martial arts. This was sensed by the other people with Nurim. The man asked if the deputy head was all right. The enemy leader, on the other hand, could feel the terrifying energy and couldn't figure out how to redo it. Suddenly the enemy just stopped. It was as if he was chained up. He couldn't figure out what the skill was. The hero told me about the martial arts. The hero said he was very angry. He would never run away. The knight was angry. The hero went on to explain the nature of the power that enveloped the enemy. With this power, all it takes is a thought to kill a man. The hero could do that, but that kind of ending was too boring. He got close to the enemy's body and struck an incredibly strong blow. The enemy immediately started coughing up blood, and the hero smiled. The guy decided to show the enemy leader what true martial arts were all about. He struck at the enemy, causing the knight's bones to break. The head was shocked, and the commentators didn't understand what was going on either. In the end, the hero returned to the arena, and briefly lay the bloodied body of the knight. The hero was seating, after using martial arts. The hero's victory was announced, which sent the enemy leader into a frenzy. After that fight, the hero refused to participate, explaining it all by the fact that he had run out of mana. In the following duels, Twilight lost to Dawn with a score of 3-2, and the hero quickly became a star among the hunters. A subordinate was asking through the door if his head was okay. At the same time, the man was sitting in a chair laughing hysterically. His pride was shattered by the fear he felt in that moment. The head acknowledged that the hero's power was so great that there was no way he could handle it at the moment. The head stood up and decided to use his means and methods to kill the hero. He left the room and said it was time for them to go. The subordinate asked where they were going, and the man said to the heavenly warrior. A week later, the phones of the Dawn Guild staff were ringing off the hook. They were getting calls from a huge number of people wanting martial arts guild contacts. People were tired and angry because the hero was not a member of their guild, and they didn't have his contacts. At the same time, the hero was sitting in an office with the deputy head. A staff member notified them that they were receiving an incredibly huge number of calls and letters to be sent to the martial arts guild. There were a huge number of different offers, even from people who wanted to join the martial arts guild. As the hero asked, they turned down all but one offer. There was a knock at the door, and they asked the head secretary to take a look at something. He headed for the door, completely exhausted. Li Jie asked how the hero was feeling after becoming a star. The guy didn't mind the fame, but he didn't like the hype. The girl was sad for some reason. She apologized to the hero, but he didn't understand why. The girl felt guilty for asking the guy to give up, and did not consider his personal desires. She continued to feel bad about herself until the hero stopped her. He said there was no way he would get hurt over such a trifle. The hero said that he himself did not want to use martial arts, but even so, what would the enemy do with this information? The hero knew that the enemy's limit was the awareness of his weakness. The hero also said that he wanted to kill the enemy head as he was targeting his sister. The deputy head smiled. The girl said that now the enemy head does not even leave the house, and in the past hunters who have held neutrality themselves turned to the Dawn. The girl thanked the hero for the advantage Dawn had gained. The girl officially thanked the guy. It made the hero smile, and he gave her a hand. The hero said that it was time for him to go, as he was expected. The girl wondered why he had turned down all the offers, but decided to cooperate with the Jeju Island Guild. The hero said that he was tired of the city dungeons, and that the island was a touristy place. The guy started to leave, and said he would be back in a month. The hero thought to himself that he had too much faith in himself. If he had known, he would not have gone there. At the international airport, the sister was thrilled. The girl was glad they had come to the island. It was her first time here, and she asked her brother what they would eat. Hero was pleased with his sister's reaction. Hero and his sister heard voices behind their backs saying they were glad to hear that they liked everything. It was the Jeju Island Guild who greeted the hero incredibly warmly. This elicited a terrible reaction from the sister and the hero. Seeing all this, the hero and sister decided to pretend they didn't understand them and leave. The man who greeted them stood in front of them. He took the hero by the hand and began to shake him as hard as he could. He thanked the hero for accepting the invitation. He also shared his admiration with the boy. He was amazed at the battle he had witnessed. The man switched to the boy's sister and began to talk to her. The leader's subordinate said that they didn't have much time. For this reason, the leader took the hero and his sister, and they went straight to some place. The hero said that he understood everything, and that it was not necessary to keep him. Also, the leader promised to give them a tour. The Chinese spy watched all this and reported to his commander. He heard the information that the hero had arrived at the place and monologued to bring the hero to his trap. The guild leader greeted the hero just as warmly. He began to wave chaotically at the hero and introduced himself. The man immediately asked to bring his guests their treats. The sister immediately lit up. She was incredibly curious as to what this delicacy was. They were told that once they tried this dish, they would never be able to refuse it again. The girl was in anticipation of what this dish was. But it turned out to be an ordinary tangerine. The hero and his sister's faces were indescribable. They had never been so disappointed. The girl grabbed a bow, but her brother was able to stop her sister in time. Clearing the tangerine, they immediately got down to business. The heroes were told that they were not the only guild on this island. There is also Dawn and Dusk. This guild was worried that the big ones would want to take over this island. But that thought was abandoned when dungeons above level 11 began to appear on the island. A man told them that there was no way their guild could clear any of the dungeons, so they asked for the hero's help. The hero didn't understand why they couldn't just ignore the dungeons. But it turned out that the head couldn't let that happen, as they would have their dungeon rights taken away, and they would never be able to get them back again. The head began to cry, as if they couldn't handle these dungeons. The island would go to the big guilds. The man said that they were in despair until they saw the hero fight. They began to praise the lad. Their flattery was not very positive for the hero, and he began to think they were crazy. They began to thank the hero for accepting their invitation. The guy said he didn't need to be thanked. The sister asked the boy to stop and said that they had a problem to solve. The hero did not understand what the girl was talking about. She said she wanted meat and fish. There was an explosion in one of the dungeons. It was the members of the Tamra Guild fighting the monsters. The situation was horrible, as it didn't matter how hard they attacked, they simply couldn't hit the monsters. A monster attacked a group of people with a fire attack. They were able to block the blow. The people thought they should retreat, but the venom appeared behind their backs. The monsters used their venom to block the group's escape route. The people were crushed, as the situation was horrible. When despair engulfed the people came a hero. He used lightning bolts to instantly incinerate the monsters. The hero expressed his disappointment that the monsters were too weak. The people thanked the hero. The guy was followed by his sister along with a man from the guild. The man said he had to be carried because he wanted to preserve his magical power. He used his ability on monsters and ordered his men to attack. The hero asked what level the guy was. He admitted that he would soon reach 40. The sister was shocked, as her level was lower. The hero also noticed that almost the entire group was at least the same level, and said that he liked the magic of teleportation. The man confessed that he spent a lot of time studying it. When he heard that the hero could understand his magic, he began to admire the guy again. The hero realized one thing: he needed to tweak the intuition parameter. It allows him to see the truth. Now the hero could see the true essence of magic just by looking at it. He said he was about to show real teleportation, but it didn't work in the end. The guy asked how to activate it. The monster sat up and reached for something in their hands. A guild guy teleported behind their back and said hello. Then said goodbye, teleported them to a great height. The monsters began to fall. The hero watched this and called the ability awesome. The man from the guild began to explain the essence of his ability and how he uses it. He asked why the hero was interested in it, but to his surprise the guy just disappeared. The hero managed to use the teleport, which amazed the guys. The hero found himself between the branches of a tree and said that he would have to practice this magic some more. The guild man thanked the hero and his sister for their help and offered a snack. The sister said it was dangerous, as there were monsters around. The man said that thanks to the hero and his sister, they could eat. He also said that it was very important to eat. The man praised the hero because his teleportation skills were getting better each time. The hero said that once he had mastered at least one thing to the limit, the rest were easier. The man began to write down the words the boy said. The girl said that even if the man followed her brother everywhere, he wouldn't be able to master his powers, because he had a special case. The man acknowledged that he probably would, but said that he was a leader, and if he stopped developing it wouldn't be right, especially since he felt he had reached his limit. He also said that his teammates believe in him, and there's no way he can stay in one place. If he were stronger, he could protect his comrades himself. He apologized for bringing up such a subject. But now the girl agreed to eat, and said that the food was not so bad. The leader again showed his enthusiastic face, after which the girl was annoyed again. The hero asked how long it would take to kill the monsters. It turned out that the leader had used up a huge amount of mana. The hero found a solution. He decided to use the skill he got from the monster. Sovereignty, it allowed him to gain respect from the monster, as he would have the aura of a superior. Using this skill, the hero can also subjugate the monster's will to himself. The hero doubted whether he could succeed. However, the guy decided to test this skill in practice. His aura began to spread. It enveloped the monsters, and he gave the order for everyone to come to him. The hero abruptly woke up. People began to worry, and he suddenly asked if there was some mana left to teleport. When the hero heard an affirmative answer, he warned that a huge crowd of monsters was moving towards them. The team was in a panic, because what was happening was more like an earthquake. One member of the team wondered. He assumed that monsters had caused it, and it was true. For a second people calmed down, as they only saw one monster. They began to calm down, as judging by the earthquake, there could be hordes of them. The team had to go back to reality again. They were surrounded by a huge number of monsters. People couldn't understand where so many enemies were coming from. The hero ordered the team to leave, and leave everything to him. The leader, without too many questions, understood what was needed from him. He gave the order to withdraw. The sister, on the other hand, was worried about the hero. She did not want to leave her brother. As a result, teleportation was used on the girl. The hero was left alone, standing right in the middle of a huge horde of monsters. Surprisingly, the hero was only happy, as only now he could fight to the full. Explosions could be seen from many directions. The hero was using an incredibly destructive ability, which was the reason why if there were people around they would try. The leader watched the destruction the hero caused. He was amazed. The leader marveled at the hero's power, while the others were terrified, for it was a power that was beyond human limits. The leader explained that the hero was most likely the one who summoned the monsters. The sister, on the other hand, was worried about her brown brother. The leader understood why the sister was worried about the boy. He went up to her to support her. He reminded the girl that the hero is incredibly strong, and it would be very easy for him to deal with the monsters. The girl made a charming face at first, but later she showed her real reaction. In fact, the girl was jealous, as now her brother was collecting a huge amount of experience alone. The leader was surprised, but the girl wasn't going to worry about her brother. She explained that her brother was the only person she didn't have to worry about. Hero praised the skill with which he was able to summon monsters. Hero was very happy that with this skill, he could summon all the monsters in the dungeon at once. Now it would be much easier for him to clean up the dungeons. The hero again ordered all monsters to appear without exception. At the same time, Li Jiha felt strange. The subordinate became worried, but the girl explained that she heard the laughter of an acquaintance. The subordinate decided to continue the report. He told of the Twilight Guild leaders' inactivity. Even the activity of the guild members had decreased. In the end, because of such events, the truth on the disputed dungeons moved on guilds. The subordinate said that at the moment they should not worry about the Twilight Guild. The girl was worried, as this was a very strange turn of events. The girl was very concerned about the activity of the head of the Backstabbers. Underblue held out the papers. It was information about an incredibly dangerous new dungeon that had been discovered in the Taebexan Mountains. The dungeon's climate was desert, the risk level was 13, and the recommended level was 60. It was in truth a very difficult dungeon. In this dungeon people are very exhausted because of the heat. And the monsters are about the size of a 10-story house, so they are still hiding underground. The subordinate said that although the monsters are not so many, but their strength is enough to fight with the elite among the hunters. The girl said that such information is not enough and will have to make another raid to find out everything related to this dungeon. She wondered. It would be nice to have a hero here. The girl was so intent on the hero that she didn't respond the first time her subordinate called out to her. He got worried, but the girl worriedly said it was all right. Quite by accident, she turned the drink they had on the table. The man said he would clean it up right away. The girl wondered if at this rate she would soon go crazy. She longed for her hero. It had already been a month since the hero had started clearing the dungeons on the island. The team had been battling monsters. And when one of her members was in danger, her sister intervened, and with a spot shot of her aura saved the man. She rejoiced in the fact that she had killed the monster with one shot. The hero had incredibly improved his monster control skills. Now, he could safely call himself a monster lord. Her sister was angry at the head, as she thought he was treating her like a child. The hero pondered about the experience system. Experience is given to those who do damage. Suddenly the hero noticed an interesting picture. One of the team members was running away from a crowd of monsters. Such stupidity made the hero smile and intervene to save this man. The boy teleported to his ally and teleported with him to the tree. The head began to praise the hero again. The hero reflected that his teleportation skill had now surpassed its first owner, but that he wanted to perfect it. The girl told the hero that she had finally tasted the specialties of this island. Even though she had done what she dreamed of when she got to this island, she still needed to level up. The girl's level was now 38. She had managed to raise 3 levels for the entire month. The hero didn't understand why the allies were so tired. The girl praised the alcohol of this island. Tired Guy told him that he got information about their next raids. The dungeon had a level 11 danger. The hero was interested in the information that the monsters there were bats, so he asked what the location was. After the hero heard that the next dungeon would be a cave, he visibly wondered. The man, on the other hand, was surprised at the detail, namely that they wanted to send them reinforcements. He assumed that because the dungeon was a cave, the teleport and arrows would be of use there. The girl suggested that they would be useless there. The hero told his sister and the boy to rest, and he was determined to win. People were worried about the hero, but he reassured them that he would do it quickly. Hero's reaction was due to the fact that he remembered the times once he was in the Murim cave. The commander and his subordinates introduced themselves. The hero was led to the strange man. The hero froze in front of the gate. The hero had a very strange sense of unease. Yes, and behind his back he felt hostility. They went inside, and the hero easily used lightning bolts to kill monsters. The man from the group asked the commander what to do, since the plan was for them to go through the dungeon more slowly. The hero said he was done and asked where to go next. The men said they didn't have long to go to get to the unexplored territory. The hero jumped up quickly and said that they should hurry up. The hero was asked if he was all right, because the guy's face was pale, and he said he was fine. The hero, even after all these years, can't stand caves. The commander took the hero by the shoulder and offered them some rest. He was surprised at the hero's reaction. He turned around and said he was fine. This frightened the commander and his men. All the hero could think of was that he had to get out of here quickly, or else he would kill them. The commander said that it takes a little ovomagi to explore the territory. The hero noticed that the behavior of these people was very suspicious. Although he could just be winding himself up, the group was walking through a dark cave. The commander advised them to visit places on the island, but the expression on the hero's face frightened him. The hero asked how much further they had to go, but suddenly noticed something strange. Looking up, he saw a formation of Murim. This formation is capable of confusing a man. It does no damage, but confuses all of a person's senses. This formation makes people walk in circles. The hero noticed that the formation leads them to a certain place. The hero became incredibly agitated. He didn't want to see the Murim world again. The hero quickly calmed down. That was all in the past, but now he needed to think rationally. The hero decided to accept such a strange offer and see who or what was calling him to his place. At the same time, in the Dungeon of the Sands, Dawn's group was battling a huge monster. The stoppage was hard. Many people nearly exhausted their strength. Suddenly the monster began to use some kind of gruesome attack. People instantly reacted and started attacking the creature. Thanks to Li Jia, they managed to kill the monster. The head of the guild said that the girl was worthy to be her deputy. The girl said not to praise her, also worried that they managed to kill only 3 monsters and they were already tired. They decided to find shelter and rest for a few hours. The head suggested that the girl was ashamed to go on a raid with him. She inquired why, and the man gave out that he and the hero were in a close relationship. After saying that, the man was elbowed in the stomach. The girl asked him not to say any more such things. The girl asked where the other headmasters were. The head said they were busy with something. In fact, they were near the entrance to the dungeon and were targeting the people around them. The people who were guarding the dungeon entrance were talking about how with a hero, it would be much easier for them to conduct a raid. The head secretary came up to them and told them not to be sick at work. People were calm, as nothing could happen near the gate. The secretary said not to relax anyway. He said that even though the twilight is not as active, we should not forget about it. Suddenly lights appeared in the sky. It was a very strong attack. The consequence was that the secretary was wounded, and the people around him were dead. It was a skill of one of the dawn deregulators. Behind the dust from the attack, the silhouette of a man could be seen. What happened was the work of twilight. The director asked if the secretary was all right. He was glad the director had arrived on the scene and asked what had happened. The principal said it was all the twilight's doing. The secretary turned away and started thinking about calling for backup. Suddenly a thought occurred to him. He asked the director how he knew about this place. The same one attacked the secretary. He started coughing up blood from such a blow. The director betrayed the guild to the dawn. He stood over the body of the secretary he had just killed. He reported over the phone that he was finished with the cleanup. The head of Twilight was glad it had happened quickly, and said they would be coming soon. He complimented the director. The enemies arrived on the scene. The head praised their work. He said he liked it very much and wished the director's further advancement. The head reflected on the fact that Lee Jiha had not changed, and remained as naive and soft. She didn't even think about the fact that there were traitors among them. These directors had been on the side of the twilight since the Sun Festival. The head remembered that together, with the girl 7 years ago, they had cleared the dungeons. It was just after his return from the Murim. Their team was very fond of the boy and the girl. The guy turned to Lee Jiha. He wondered how much longer they were going to drag these wimps around. He didn't understand why they would slow down their development by wasting time on wimps. He showed the girl the white jade he had received from the celestial warrior. With this jade, the strength of martial arts increases several times. The boy offered to follow the heavenly warrior. The girl said that she did not want to follow him, and generally did not want to remember everything related to Murim. The girl said she liked babysitting, and offered to forget about the Murim. She was called and hurried to the group. The boy was angry because Lee Jiha was the only one who understood him, and now, because of some bug, she was leaving him. This really pissed the guy off, and he ended up killing every member of the group except Lee Jiha. The girl screamed as her dear comrades were killed. The heavenly warrior started brainwashing the guy and telling him that he should kill them all, and then not get the girl's confession. The boy was intent on freeing the girl from all the weakness surrounding her. Suddenly the face of the enemy head changed. The directors didn't know what to do next. The Twilight Men told them to guard the place. If any of the Dawns escaped, he ordered that they be killed. The directors, though confused, said they understood the order. The man walked up to the head and asked what was wrong with the hero now. The head asked if everything was going according to plan on the island. The subordinate said not to worry, as Garden had begun to act. It is impossible to get out of that man's traps. They were told that even though they were moving faster than planned, everything was going strictly according to plan. The man ordered his men to follow him into the dungeon, but he intended to kill Lee Jiha himself. The face of the head was not very happy. Still, he said that since it was a promise, let him do what he had to do. The head said it was time for them to begin. Today's Twilight Guild hunt would be for dawn. The hero didn't understand why. Even though he accepted the invitation, nothing happens. The commander and his team didn't understand anything either, as they thought there would be someone waiting for them here. Hero turned around and repeated the man's words. He told the people to tell the truth. They pretended not to understand anything, but the hero took the commandant by the face. The hero said that even though he was closing his eyes, he had no intention of remaining silent until the end. He started to use his aura and warned that if the commandant wanted to leave here alive, he should tell everything. Suddenly there were footsteps. The men reacted. The man who arrived on the scene was glad he didn't have to wait for the hero. The hero looked in the direction of the cliff. A bomb was visible there. The hero's enemies were real madmen. There was a very strong explosion. At the same time, Lee Jiha had a very strange feeling. The girl thought that she was just overexcited, and she just needed to relax a little. She saw 2 more enemy monsters. Suddenly, she heard an explosion behind her. There was a resting place at that spot. There the members of the Dawn Guild engaged in a battle with the enemies. They fought each other, and the Dawns were squeezed a little at a time. The head of the guild tried to counterattack, but ended up falling off his feet from fatigue. There was no way he could win. Even if he miraculously managed to deal with 3 enemies on the ground, there was still an enemy head who was incredibly strong. The enemy man started clapping his hands. He said the guy deserved to be the head of the Dawn Guild, and apologized for not considering him. This made the head angry, and he said he couldn't even imagine the meeting. He asked what had happened to the hunters who had been left at the entrance to the dungeon. The enemy pretended to remember. He said he could have guessed what had become of those men. The man asked how the enemy had discovered the place. But without hearing an answer, he assumed that there were traitors in the Dawn Guild. But even knowing this, the head was angry. He intended to kill all the enemies. The enemy mage was surprised that the head had grown stronger, but said that it was time for them to speed up. After these words, the members of the Dawn Guild were killed, right in front of their head. As he was dying, he called out the name of the head. He didn't want to die. It was hard to see such a sad picture. The man died, and the head screamed in anger and pain. The head of the enemy, on the other hand, rejoiced at the desperation felt by the members of the Dawn Guild. The enemy smiled, and said that now they understood how bugs could get in the way at times like this. Li Jiha appeared behind the enemy's back, ready to launch an attack. The subordinate managed to protect the head of the enemy. The girl said she was glad to see the baby again. He, on the other hand, hated her. The enemy head said he was hurt that he had not been brought in. He said he missed the girl. She, on the other hand, got into a fighting stance and reminded the man that they had been enemies for a long time. The enemy head ordered the man to attack. They attacked each other without ceasing. They seemed to be fighting on equal footing, as each blow was repulsed. But the girl was able to break through the enemy's defenses and kicked him back with a leg kick. Without giving her time to come to her senses, the girl came to her feet and praised him for getting stronger. The enemy tried to strike, but the girl was able to dodge. The girl pondered what to do, though she could deal with this man, but after him will be the main enemy, who is incredibly strong. At that time, the head of the Dawn shouted and held the corpse of a subordinate. The enemy struck, but again the girl was able to dodge. She retreated, but still worried about the enemy chief. He watched the girl fight and praised her for getting stronger. He also remembered about the hero. According to the plan, he should be dead by now. At the same time on the island, the hero was pelted with rocks, but he managed to get out. Now the guy was really mad. The commander also managed to survive. When they regained consciousness, they saw the hero in front of them. The hero was very angry, because the enemy thought he could kill him with some explosives. The commander continued to pretend that he didn't know anything. But this time the hero didn't listen to him and used his powers. The team became worried for the commander, who fell in the moment. The hero, on the other hand, with a terrifying aura, ordered them to tell everything they knew. They tried again to pretend they knew nothing, but it didn't work. The hero said they should tell the truth, for he would not believe the nonsense. The enemy was very frightened. He started sobbing and screaming about not knowing anything. He talked about how they too could have died, and it wasn't their doing. The hero's patience ran out. As the enemy said nothing, he used the ability. He used absolute submission for the first time on a human and asked not to get angry if the enemy's consciousness was destroyed. In fact, this man's guild was supported by Twilight all the time. Recently an unusual man came to them. At the time, he had no idea what this man was, but he managed to feel his terrifying aura. The head went on to tell everything he knew, namely, that Twilight had ordered his complete obedience to this man. Also from the task was only to bring the hero here. The hero thought, since they had detonated the explosives, they were still in the dungeon. The hero decided to concentrate. The guy couldn't wait to meet his enemies. Hero ordered the enemy to step back. He didn't understand anything. The hero recalled his hand with fire. That man said he would defend the chapter to the end. But when the hero fired, the man cowardly crouched down. With his magic, the hero caused a huge explosion. A passageway appeared in this place. The enemies could not understand that this had just happened. The enemies were glad that the hero didn't kill them. But to their chagrin, the guy said they would stay here. The hero used another ability. After using it, the dungeon began to collapse. People were crying, begging for mercy, but the hero wouldn't save them. The hero was leaving, and at the end said that he had lived in the cave for 10 years, now let them live too. The hero was glad, for now he had a reason to destroy the twilight. At the same time, Li Jiho was kneeling wounded. The enemy had learned the cloning ability. The enemy was angry that the girl still didn't appreciate him, but the fact was that she was wounded. The enemy suggested that the girl use the shadow play. She, on the other hand, laughed. She had no intention of using such a valuable skill on a weakling. She was sure that even without this skill, he was incapable of defeating her. The enemy pounced on the girl, and she was determined to show how a real killer fights. The girl was retreating from a huge number of clones. The enemy kept chasing her and attacking her. In a moment, the girl turned around and destroyed the clones. Behind her was an enemy who attacked her with his poisonous spear skill of origin. The girl retreated. She turned her attention to her dagger, which was beginning to break. She knew that all she had to do was make one mistake, and she would die. But even so, she was having a lot of fun. The girl smiled, and was intent on changing her weapon. The boy thanked the girl, since she had once shown him how to become stronger. The girl did not remember such a thing. The enemy, however, decided to remind the girl of that occasion. He also said that this was her last chance to use the shadow play. She had no intention of wasting this ability on him. This skill was not for him. It made his opponent angry, and he was determined to kill her. To Li Jiho's surprise, he went behind her back and pierced her chest. In the past, the girl had scoffed at the guy because he was trying to copy her two-dagger technique. The girl didn't understand why they were trying to replace her with such a man. She also called the enemy head a bastard. She said the guy was pathetic and annoyed her with his whole appearance. She told him a secret, put her knife to his throat, and said that in order for an assassin to become stronger, you have to genuinely want to kill someone. Enemy reinforcements appeared behind the girl's back. The girl said she wanted to kill the enemy head, so she would put the guy's death off until later. She also said that he had no talent, and the guy wasn't cut out for this kind of thing. The enemy told this with a lucky look as his pride was trampled at that moment. He said that even though Li Jiho was in the enemy guild, he respected her, and she embarrassed him like that. He noticed that the girl was right. Thanks to his desire to kill her, he became much stronger. Suddenly, the girl used an ability and began to speak. She remembered. This man wanted so badly to outdo her. She was glad he had learned her lesson. But also, he had missed a point. She had told him to drop it, since it was dark. The enemy became nervous and began to retreat. The girl gave the boy one last lesson, namely that an assassin shows his true face only when his enemy is already dead. The guy started screaming in pain. The girl said his victory was just an illusion. She called the already dead guy an idiot. The enemy leader arrived on the scene. The girl was glad, for this was the man she incredibly wanted to kill. He asked if she liked the spectacle he had put on. The girl said the guy shouldn't expect an easy death. Those were exactly the words he wanted to hear. The girl used the shadow play, and the enemy eagerly awaited their fight. At the same time, the hero tried to call Li Jiho, but it was to no avail. He thought the girl was busy, but he really wanted to tell her what had happened. The hero was surrounded by hunters, and told that the girl could not answer because the Twilight Guild had visited. In front of the hero appeared the man who had trapped him. The hero asked how the man knew about the attack on the girl. The enemy, however, did not look frightened. He asked the hero to be more polite. The hero realized that the enemy was not burning with a desire to talk to him. So the guy was determined to make him tell him everything. The enemy, on the other hand, admired the hero's strength. He got goosebumps from how much the hero could control magic. However, the enemy was calm as he used the formation. A golden glow appeared beneath the hero's feet. It was a gravity trap. The enemy, however, said that now the hero was finished, as it was his best creation. He activated the celestial golden seal and ordered the men to attack. Initially, the hero thought it was a cheap trick, but he felt a heaviness. His body became heavier in an instant, but he was able to strike the enemy. After the blow, a realization came to the hero. In this space, he could not use his inner energy,